Hello and welcome to Card Shop Insiders, a podcast where we combine decades of experience from both sides of the counter to take you inside the business of local game stores and collectible gaming hobbies. I'm Noah, and I play games, a fair amount of them.
Is it my turn now? You giving me permission to talk? I'm John. I'm a card shop owner with 26 years of experience in this business now. Not 25, so there's a typo on it.
And we've changed it in the
We changed
show
it. We're
notes.
26
John is
now.
a 26-year veteran of the industry, and with our combined perspectives, we are ready to take you inside. So let's jump into this week's news and updates. John.
Noah.
Last week, you did some news and updates without me.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It came out
The
already.
podcast must go on, right?
It did. Did you ever put it up on YouTube?
Well, we're behind on YouTube. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. No, we can talk about it right now.
It is up on Patreon.
I heard about it.
It's going to go up on Spotify, and eventually it'll get to YouTube. But YouTube is a couple weeks off.
All right. Why, even though I subscribe to Patreon,
Yes.
I can't get on it?
What do you mean?
I can't listen to them. Even I didn't subscribe as a paid subscriber.
The videos are only for paid subscribers.
So freebies don't count for me?
No, not even for you.
Oh, jeez.
I can add you, though, because you own it.
This could be one of these podcasts today.
No,
I can see it already.
Cut the slap happiness. Let's focus on the news. All right, let's talk with. Let's start with Star Wars.
Okay, what do you want to talk about? Star Wars has definitely slowed down at this store.
Star Wars weekly play has slowed down.
Right.
I think we got a really good group of guys that want to play competitively. And they have been traveling to play competitively, particularly in light of the announcement that there's not going to be a North Carolina planetary qualifier.
Right.
So they are going to other stores where they can get into the tournaments. I was talking last week when I played, they were talking about some of the tournaments that they were playing in. A couple of the guys are doing like Friday night tournaments at one shop, Saturday tournaments at another shop. And so they're trying to get a lot of reps in like a competitive environment, which we admittedly are not a competitive environment.
Yeah. All right. And I can understand what they're trying to do and what these other stores are trying to do. However, they're blowing through their stock very quickly. And from what I understand, there is no more stock available until maybe Christmas time. And that's a big maybe. Now, I have another couple of boxes sitting over at Southern Hobby waiting to be shipped to me because I didn't get them all shipped last week. So I have enough stock. And I think I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing is holding some of this stuff back in order to support the league. Because that's important. I think we'll get people coming back playing in the league, but I'm not 100% sure. But, you talk about these other stores running these big events. They got to make money.
Well, they're not running huge events.
Well, no.
10 to 15 people in a.
They had a 1K
tournament
at one of the stores the other day.
Yeah, that was in Raleigh.
Okay.
That was with a convention, though, wasn't it?
Well, whatever. They charged $35. It was a 1K.
Yeah.
They charged $35. They had 28 people. So if you look at it, 28 times 35 is $980. So they lost, theoretically, $20. On that $35 entry fee, if they had to charge tax somewhere along the line. So they owe the government or the state of North Carolina 6.5%, 7.5%, whatever the percentage is in Wake County or wherever the hell they had it. So they're basically $100 in the hole, if you think about it. Does that make any sense?
Well, John, it obviously makes sense in some way that we don't understand because they're doing them all over the country.
I guess so. Maybe I'm too damn old and stubborn to.
You and I have talked about this a bunch of different times on the math to run like a bigger tournament. And we've got to be wrong on something about the math because too many people are doing it and not going out of business for.
No, I mean, they could probably make some money, and they're hoping that some of these people will come in and buy some stuff.
Well, that happens, right?
Well, and then they're hoping they'll turn them into long-term customers. That's not going to be the case. From experience.
Are they hoping to turn them into long-term customers, though? Or are they just trying to put...
You get the prize hounds going from store to store to store to store.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be loyal to your store that's running this big event because they're going to go back to their own store, their home store, or the internet and buy their stuff. They're not going to buy it at your store. They might buy a pack, they might buy a drink or something like that, but it's certainly not enough to sustain, uh, a decent income for the amount of time expended on running that event.
What's funny, you should bring that up. That's the topic we're going to talk about today. We'll get there.
Well, okay.
Um,
Is that in your notes that you sent me?
It is, but it got added after I think you added your last piece.
Oh, okay.
I went from the top to the bottom.
So you do like I do. You surprise me.
I always surprise you.
Okay.
I'm a surprising person.
Yeah.
Anyway, other news for Star Wars, though. They did announce the Twilight of the Republic is going to be the next set that comes out, November 8th release date. And so I think that plays interestingly in with the release schedule that you've talked about in terms of getting more product for set 1 and 2. They're going to release set 3, which should be the start of the better quantities of product. If we're using other recently released games as a metric, the 3rd and 4th set are where they really started to be able to meet demand.
Mm-hmm.
And so set 3 is coming out in November, and then they're going to have new supply available for Christmas time, maybe.
Hopefully.
And so
I wouldn't count on it.
Well, but I wonder what the demand's going to be like for that stuff. In terms of like the new set's going to have just come out. Are people going to go big on the new set and spend their money there? Or are they going to hold some money because they're trying to get back into set 1 stuff? Where's the demand going to fall going into December?
A lot depends on the outcome of the election. Believe it or not, I printed out an article that I spotted in Gift Magazine or something like that, and it talked about retail sales, which this is retail sales basically. And I'm going to go over that later as one of my facts about, I don't know, whenever the hell I can get it in there, it's going to go in there.
Yeah, we'll squeeze it in.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk news from Lorcana. They just announced at the Tokyo Toy Show this week that they're going to start producing and selling Japanese language Lorcana cards beginning in January 25. It's going to start with the first chapter, unlike the Oceania release with Australia, where they started with the 4th set and then started working their way back. The Japanese release is going to have Japanese language products, and they've got smaller, cheaper booster packs. So I think they might not even be packaging the same way. They do this with Pokemon and some other products, that the Japanese product is packaged differently, has a different allocation of cards per pack and things like that. But that was announced this last week, and it's going to start in January. So we're a couple months away from adding the Japanese market to the pool here, but they're going to have Japanese language cards where I think to date Japanese players have been playing with imported American and English cards.
It's going to be interesting because the American players that collect are going to want Japanese cards because they love Japanese cards.
Well, there'll be some questions about what's tournament legal and things like that in terms of language variant.
There's going to be questions about whether we're going to be able to get that stuff to be able to sell to our customers.
Yeah.
Typically, it doesn't happen. Typically, but I don't know. Did you listen to last week's when I talked about Ravensburger ramping up the distribution now?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
well, I think it's a good thing because they see a need to. The other pieces of news that I've got for this week, where we've been keeping track of interest and demand in the big scale Lorcana tournaments. This one last week was DLC Toronto. They had 961 out of 1,024 players showed up. They did sell all 1,024 spots, but only 961 showed up to play in the event. So I don't think they're complaining that.
Yeah, so 39 and 24 is what, 63 people didn't show up that they got paid for?
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, but I think it's still pretty good. I think they're filling these venues. They're having good events. Big deal with this tournament was it was the first one after the errata Bucky was tournament legal. And so the new decks that featured were stuff that people hadn't really seen before and hadn't really expected. It'd be interesting to see. Coming up in September, there's a double Disney Lorcana Challenge weekend, September 21st and 22nd. Las Vegas in the U.S. and Birmingham in the U.K. are both featuring these big DLC tournaments. And so we'll see kind of what the meta has developed to by the end of the month here and preparing for set championships for the local level. which that'll be in October. And we expect the paperwork on that to come in from Ravensburger sometime in the next 2 weeks, right?
For no,
An email about
the third, as far as setting up the
tomorrow?
the store champs,
Okay.
store championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow, supposedly by tomorrow.
So they'll send you something, and we expect it'll say that you're supposed to run it on a Friday or Saturday in October.
I thought it was Saturday and Sunday. They changed it.
No, you're right. Just checking to see if you're listening.
I'm listening. I'm not falling asleep like some people I know.
Hey, it's hard. I'm listening to the double audio. All right, I got nothing on One Piece. You got One Piece news for us this week?
This One Piece is starting to do well in the store. This coming weekend, we have it's called a Treasure Cup 2024 event. And I've already got 16 players signed up for it. 4 that I know of that are from this store. The other 12, I don't know who the hell they are, but so we'll see when they come in. However, it's good because I was able to get the tournament kit for it. And again, by my ranting and raving on that questionnaire, all of a sudden, Alliance Games is now more receptive to offering me product. So hopefully that'll continue into the future. And I was able to I got enough product right now, not an extraordinary amount, but enough product to put on the shelf for when people come in, hey, can I buy a pack or two? Fine, you can. But I still have enough that I could support, especially this weekend.
Very cool.
Yeah.
As far as Magic goes, I heard you talk last week about Bloomberg doing really well. I saw a really interesting article that I linked in our show notes about the success of Bloomberg maybe actually being like a negative for it.
Why?
Well, just because one of the reasons it's so successful is because there's the etched or raised foil anime cards that are like the chase cards for the set have been incredibly rare. And that's why people are buying the product in high quantities, is they're looking for these big cards. Yeah. And so it's kind of like the mumble blumble, the Lord of the Rings set that had come out with big chase cards that people were looking for. Super popular. Everything that anybody ever got for that set kind of sold really fast. Mm-hmm. And just kind of pointing out that not having, or maybe overselling this product is making it, its own worst enemy. Just the fact that it's so popular, and it's frustrating for people to try to get, particularly collector's packs for Bloomberg now, because they've been out of stock in most places for weeks.
I was able to get 1 box last week of collector packs. I had to get it from another distributor in order not to pay shipping. I get back to that because my order with One Piece was $340 something, so I needed to get it over 500. So I had them. Fortunately, they had a box of Bloomberg collectors, and I put it on the shelf, and I think I got 1 or 2 packs left. So yeah, it is selling. However, it's going to come back into distribution shortly. They're going to have more available. I'm not sure about decks, but the collector packs and probably bundles are coming back, from what I understand. I don't know the exact timeline, but that's what the expectation is going to be. And it's going to be allocated.
I mean, that's interesting because they're going to have Duskborn is coming up at the beginning of November. So, I mean, we're only like 7 or 8 weeks away from that set.
It's the 21st, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. It's the other set.
What is wrong with you today?
I don't have it written on my notes. If I write on my notes, I know that.
You should have a good memory.
No, I don't have one of those. That's why we write things down. Here, release schedule, Duskborn, September 27th, pre-release September 20th. I've got a whole chart.
That's why I had to reschedule my trip, my vacation. I don't want to leave the person who's going to be watching the store that week.
For the pre-release?
Hell no, I couldn't do that to him. He'll go crazy.
Yeah. No, one of the things that I did notice, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit in the discussion that I've queued up for us later today, but there's a bunch of releases again over the course of like 2 weeks in November, which means that the pre-release play and things like that are going to stack on top of each other again. So we'll talk in a minute about how you plan for that in the store and how to manage that as somebody that's looking to be in the gaming space. But finishing the news for Magic today, there was an article that posted on The Wizards website that talked about changes to the secret lair sales. I think we might have talked about this briefly before, but not on the podcast. But they have made an announcement that they're going to stop the limited print run model in terms of the timer that was on it. So they're going to still have a limited print run in terms of quantity of each individual secret layer that's dropping from Magic. But instead of saying that it's only available for 72 hours and you have to buy it, it's going to be up on the website until it sells out. And then once it sells out, it'll go through. So that's an interesting change and upgrade, I think, to what they're doing as far as that goes. They also announced a bunch of new secret lair drops and things that are coming out in conjunction with Duskmorn and other stuff. I wondered for a second, though, if maybe you had any thoughts. I know we've talked about the secret lair product before, and we've talked sort of indirectly about competition with Wizards as a store. But like secret lair products, those are something that you're not able to get from distribution at a retail price.
Every once in a while, they'll have something that's available through regular distribution channels. However, it's getting more and more prevalent that they're excluding distribution and they're excluding the stores, and they're just selling it online through their own venue.
Well,
And
the
it is what it is.
or the resale market on those things is marked up. Like there's the base level price from the secret lair drop is what you can get it for initially, but then like the TCG player price has a premium on it, all of that stuff. Is that something that you as a store owner have ever looked into, trying to get into like the secret lair drops to try to resell with that premium price?
I've had a couple people, say I should. I'm not going to be part and parcel to it. It takes too much effort for the number that I could possibly get. And if I'd have to get online at midnight or something in order to order this stuff, this boy isn't doing it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Let me get back to Wizards for a second. Wizards has been a great company. I've been with them for 20 something years, and I really have nothing negative to say about them. They have good products. They offer a lot of support to the stores and a lot of promos and things like that. But right now, over the last couple of years, they're trying to extract as much money as possible out of the retail market, whether it be from their own website, whether it be through distribution or whatever. They're constantly coming out with new stuff. They're making exclusive things, which is, they're thumbing their nose up at the distribution and their stores and the stores that support them as far as these special secret drops or secret lair drops. And honestly, I don't think it's fair. I really don't.
Well, I think it's an interesting concept to talk about more in like the academic concept of it than it is in like the practical application to like your store. I think most big businesses at some point have a strategy meeting where they start talking about how can they bring more of the money in-house and stop having it going out the door, in these other ways. And they're seeing like the large success that's being had on the primary and secondary market for their products. And they're trying to bring some of that inside of their business tree so that it stays in the company. I think we've talked recently about whether or not that's going to impair the future for some of these games where they're making it harder to run a store, which is where people play. If you make it so that the only place that you can play Magic is at your own kitchen table or at the organized Magic Con or Star City Games event or whatever it is, then I think you're going to lose sale because people are going to not be able to participate in the game in the way that it's intended to be played.
I agree.
But they clearly don't agree with that, and they make a lot more money doing this than I do. So
I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. And I have, again, people come in and they'll buy their cards at Walmart, and I'm a sarcastic son of a gun sometimes anyway. And I'll say, hey, Walmart doesn't run tournaments. They don't have tables set up. You should be supporting the local stores. To some of the people that I know, pretty well. And it was convenient. I was there and so forth and so on. And I can understand that once in a while. But there are some people who, because they think Walmart is greatest, the prices are great, which they're actually more money than if they bought them here. Uh, plus other benefits that I give them. They'll buy exclusively at Walmart. Well, let them go play at damn Walmart then. That's really my point. And again, getting back to Wizards, there's a 5-letter word. It's called greed. Greed. And that's the way I feel about them. I think they're getting greedy. And I think some of the other companies are starting to get greedy too. And it's going to shoot them in the foot in the long run. I can guarantee it.
But greed's the name of the game when it comes to like corporate running. You want to make as much money as possible with spending as little as possible.
Yeah, this is true. But it gets to the point. Look what happened with Disney. Look what happened with Disney with greed. They're starting to lose attendance at the parks because it's too damn expensive to go there. And
they're losing attendance, but their money's the same. They just did the report.
Their money's the same.
They made more money last quarter at the parks.
No, they lost some money at the parks. They lost like 2-point-something%, I believe. I think maybe I read it wrong, but what's happening is they're starting to discount tickets right now, and because they're not getting enough people coming into the parks, so they're nickel and diming. Some of the food has gone up a quarter. Some of the food has gone up $2. It's ridiculous.
Water bottles still cost $7 in there. So
it's pathetic. It is.
And free water fountain.
What has happened is it's excluded a certain segment of the market, and they're talking about the people who don't have as much to spend. The lower income are not going, and that's a lot of that was their bread and butter for a long time. And they get the whales that come in and spend a lot of money, and, they rent the exclusive, tower suites and all this other stuff. But, you got to take care of everybody, and they're not doing it. And again, I think it's hurting them. I really believe that.
Yeah. I think we'll see how it bears out. Magic, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Magic was the only division of Hasbro that profited last year.
Right.
So they don't think that they're hurting anything.
And they had, over $1 billion? Billion in sales.
With a B.
Yeah.
They're not losing money.
No, they're not.
Making money. And it's going to take years to see whether or not this sort of forecast from us is going to bear out in any way. But
another thing they did, which I think was an error on their part, is they started laying off some people at Wizards. And you can only... All right, why? Why did they lay off people? It's because they wanted to make more money. Less people to have to support with salaries, more money they're bringing. Yeah. However, are they requiring the existing people that are still in the company to do more? And that's going to go old. Or did they lay off some really creative people who added a lot of value to the company and didn't realize it until all of a sudden this set comes out, whatever the hell it's going to be in the future, and it doesn't sell because they were short-sighted enough to let all the talented people go? I don't know. That's something that...
the other side of that coin, though, is it bears out that they find the best couple of sets that they've ever made, and they continue to have success, and it looks like it was a good business decision. Yeah. So we won't know for some time which way it works out. But, again, it's their job to make money by spending as little as possible.
Oh, that's true.
And so trimming what they consider to be the fat is their way of doing it. Let's cover real quick and wrap up the news. Pokemon new set release September 13th. Stellar Crown. People think that's cool. It looks fun. There's some fancy new cards in it, as there always are with Pokemon. You brought up Union Arena last time. Did you have anything else from Bandai or Union Arena you wanted to throw down this time?
No. Union Arena is a new card game from Bandai. We were supposed to have what the hell they call it, a super pre-release, something like that they called it, last week. We didn't have a lot of people come in, so we didn't really run the event. However, the product I was able to get, I sold through. And then there's supposed to be a release tournament. Another pre-release, super pre-release, a pre-release, and then a release. And
ambitious.
It's not coming out until sometime in October.
Okay.
And it's a Bandai product. So
So great.
Judging by Bandai products, I scratch my head and say, I wonder what's going to happen with this.
Yeah.
However, the only salvaging grace is that Southern Hobby is one of the distributors that's allowed to do Union Arena, and they're good. I mean, they're legitimate. Not saying the other companies are not legitimate, but they don't have their act together as like Southern Hobby does.
Yeah, well, that makes it pretty easy for you.
So, yeah, it does, and I hope Southern Hobby gets the availability of One Piece and some of the other card games from Bandai. But Bandai's website's all screwed up. Believe me, it is. It's bad.
Yeah.
It is what it
It
is.
still is screwed up.
It is.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for news this week. We have, well, I guess in the event that we don't find a guest commentator to do the Yu-Gi-Oh! News, ban and restricted list for Yu-Gi-Oh! Went live this last week, and the World Championships come up this weekend, 7th and 8th of September. Right. So
out in Seattle.
That's kind of big news, and they've got some other big releases that we've talked about coming out. They did have some cool announcements. The 25th anniversary pack is going to include some of the original art from 25 years ago. I think people were excited about that, at least on the internet forums. So that's kind of cool to see the throwback art coming on some of these cards and things, getting people excited for that 25th anniversary product. But that's what I got for Yu-Gi-Oh! And we can probably wrap up.
No, let's not wrap it up yet. I'm waiting for Alex. I put a call into Alex. Alex is one of my customers. He's also he's older. He's intelligent. He's a software engineer, and he's been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a number of years. He's also a judge, so he knows the game inside and out. He's been in the game for a while, and he was supposed to join us. And I put a call into him. He hasn't answered yet. So if he calls, we'll fit him into the segment. Noah will stitch it. What do they call it? Stitch it in?
Sure.
Whatever the hell it's called. Stitch it in.
I don't use the right words for it.
Cut it in, stitch it in, whatever.
Put it in there.
But we'll put Alex in there. If not, we'll talk to Alex next week. But Alex did say yesterday, and this is what prompted me to ask him to participate, that the ban and restricted list was effective today, Monday. And it's been a long time since they had a ban and restricted list come out at the end of the month. It's usually more prompt, okay? But I don't know what the hell Yu-Gi-Oh! Is doing. However, Alex did say that the number 1 deck isn't any good anymore. However, it boosted up the number 2 and number 3 deck to premier status because of this. So he had a lot of thoughts about it, and that's why I was hoping we'd get him to talk today. Enough said about this. So let's segue into something different. Huh?
So I watch tech podcasts, and sometimes they do like their own like music with their mouths, like do 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 do. It makes me feel like we should start doing our own transition.
You do the do then.
No, that was perfect. I'm going to cut that right there. I got you to do it. It'll be perfect. Well, John, for this week's main topic, in terms of card shop business topics, I thought we could talk a little bit about space management and event planning. Particularly, I was looking ahead to some of the release schedules. We just discussed it about a month ago that there were a bunch of releases on the same week, and that was really frustrating for you as a store owner. And then there's going to be another set of big releases right in a row at the beginning of November. And so I wanted to talk to you for a minute and go through kind of how that affects the local store. I think we mentioned it maybe tangentially before, but to make it the focus of today's topic, I broke it down into a couple of different components and thought we'd give you a chance to kind of share your insight. And I thought first we could start by talking about like what the different levels of organized play are that go with these releases. In my mind, and you help me expand this, but there's weekly play, which is just general like casual fun play, right? You've got for Magic, you run a draft every week that's tournament structured. You have open play for various games on Saturdays, staggered throughout the day. You have open play on Sundays. You have open play Wednesday nights for a couple of different games in a couple of different ways. But I would categorize all that stuff on a week-to-week basis in like general weekly play. But then this release stuff affects you because some games have like mandatory pre-releases. Some games you kind of do informal like pre-releases or release events. And then there's formal release events as well. that go with these games coming out. So, what in your mind, what kind of goes into preparing for or planning for a big like set of releases that's going to come down the pipe?
Okay. Number one, I want to ask you this: what the hell is tangential? Where'd you come up with that word? You see, I picked up on that. Tangential. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means off to the side, like
do you think our viewers are going to understand what the hell you're talking about?
Would you like me to define it as an ancillary topic that is adjacent to that of the primary topic?
Oh, yeah, that sounds really good. That's
what do you want me to do,
Great
John?
Explanation, Noah.
What do you want me to do, John?
Great explanation. Leave it in the comments, guys. If you don't know what, I'll let Noah respond to this. All right, before I get into Noah's question, last week I left out one or two things after I did it solo. I was thinking about something I should have said. I know I had talked about this once before about snacks and drinks and things like that in the store. That's what I talked about last week. A lot of store owners, they hook up with Coke or they hook up with Pepsi, and they'll get these refrigerated units coming in. And it looks good in the store. However, I don't think they realize that you're limited to that brand's products. You cannot put other products in that particular unit that you're getting from them. They're going to give it to you for free. However, they have to supply it. You cannot go to Food Lion or Walmart when it's on sale and buy product to stick in that case.
Right.
The only way you can get two products is you got to have a Coke account and you got to have a Pepsi account. And then if you have the space, that's fine. And if you want to be committed to buying from them, they're going to charge you a lot of money. You're not going to make any money. You're going to make very, very little because it's nice. They come in on a regular basis. They'll look at your stock. They'll pull, stock that supposedly is not good anymore as far as drinks are concerned. They'll put in their new stock, and then you'll get a bill, and you'll look at it and say, "Holy God sakes! I can go to Food Lion and buy them on sale." That's what you should do when you're first starting the store. So now we can go into the other topic. Now, as far as scheduling events,
well, so the schedule comes out pretty much from the companies that run this stuff. Like I've got a spreadsheet because they've announced these, right? So you've got, let's just use like this future set. Like for example, you're gonna have a Yu-Gi-Oh release, a Magic release, a Star Wars release, and a Lorcana release, all in the first 2 weeks. Well, I guess it's technically the second and third week. So, but all in 2 weeks in November. So Magic comes a pre-release tournament with Star Wars and Disney Lorcana come release day events.
right?
With Yu-Gi-Oh, there's usually a big event, or a big group of people that want to come in and buy and open and play.
Right.
So what do you do, like knowing that the four major like products for the store are having technically there's also a Pokemon release that week, and I bet you there's a One Piece release too because everything else is coming out.
Yeah.
So what do you do, like it's September right now, what do you do looking forward to get yourself ready for that weekend?
All right. Well, it impacts anything I do outside of the store. That's number one. I had a vacation schedule for leaving September 20th. And when I looked at the release schedule, I said, oh, God, they're coming out with another Magic set. So I had to postpone my vacation for a week, which is fine. But, Magic being my biggest event or biggest seller in the store, I kind of cater to that first. And what I do is I'll run it Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon. Friday night's usually my biggest attended event. And I have no competition from other games because that's it for Friday night. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'll get people, but not as many. And I'll try to schedule the times to make it conducive for everybody to come in because I don't want everybody showing up at one time. And being a small store like this, I can seat 24 people in the store comfortably. Anything more than that, I have to put tables out in the hallway. And I've done that on occasion. we'll get through it. It's unfortunate that they all come in one time, but you'll find a way through it. Uh, Another good thing that Magic started during the pandemic was take home events. So that limits the number of people who want to sit in the store and play. They'd rather buy 4 or 5 take home kits, which is the same as playing in the store, take them home and play at their kitchen table. So that alleviates a little bit of the space problem for us. So that's basically 3 in store and 3 at home. So that's 6 events that I have to cater to. And then what's the next one on the schedule? The Yu-Gi-Oh.
There's a Yu-Gi-Oh product release. I don't think it's a major set. It's the Quarter Century Bonanza. It's an event.
No, it's just a special event.
Yeah,
And again, we're not as big in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. There's other stores that cater specifically to Yu-Gi-Oh, and a lot of these people, there's players, will go there, which is fine with me. I still get my share of people.
You're gonna hit Star Wars has a set release the same weekend as the pre-release.
Is it the 17th? When's the Foundation?
The 15th is Foundations, so the pre-release will be on the 8th.
Yeah.
And that's the same day the Star Wars set got announced for.
It is what it is. I'll just have to make provisions for it. I have provisions for at least 4 tables out in the hallway. Mm-hmm. That'll seat at least another 20 to 25 people. And I've been at capacity numerous times. I've been at capacity with Yu-Gi-Oh! I had 52 people one time coming to do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event.
So people, like a group of people in the store is one of the limiting factors that you have. You also talked about staggering the start, and I think I know from experience with you that one of the reasons that you do that is because you can't really manage all 50 people at the register at the same time, trying to sign in and check in and get on the list and pay and buy a Yoo-hoo and do all the other things. And so like splitting up the events so that you've got something starting early, something starting a little bit later. And then they're not finishing at the same time either. So you're not trying to do event results from everybody all at the same time. You can stagger those and do one and then get the other pairings ready and do the next one. What kind of thought goes into that for you? Or is that just something that you've acquired like the skill for over time? And so it's sort of thoughtless at this point.
I just do it from instinct. I'm sure you see the way I handle people. And if I have a lot of people crowd the counter at one time, I'll put up my hand and I'll say, hey guys, one at a time. And a lot of them want to, stand there and talk to me and BS about something. And if I don't have the time, I'll say, hey, look, I'd like to talk to you, but I don't have the time. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Well,
you're expecting these people to be in the store for several hours, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's habitual for us to want to talk when we come into the store right away.
But some want to just ramble on.
Yeah,
I don't have
if you got to push people off the table, you're like, look, you're going to be here for 2 hours. Talk to me later.
Yeah.
When you get the buy in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I've acquired that skill over the years. Besides, a lot of people think I'm demented anyway. So when I tell them go away, they just laugh.
Yeah.
But, they get the point. Just leave me alone. Let me do what I need to do in order to run the tournament. And I've had people say to me, we really appreciate the way you keep tournaments moving. A lot of stores will just drag it and drag it and drag it each round. Once the round is done, if there's people at the counter, I'll say, excuse me 1 second. Let me get these guys paired up for the next round so I can get them started, give them something to do, and then I can divert my attention to, the immediacy at the counter. And as far as scheduling, you see how I schedule. I've got right now Lorcana on Saturday at 12. I've got Star Wars at 2. I've got One Piece at 3. And I'll continue doing that. I'm not going to add an extra day because I'm still competing against other stores.
Yeah.
And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the primary times. But, you're held to a schedule by Konami, by Wizards, by Bandai, by some of these other companies. Yeah, they'll give you a range of dates, and that's when you have to be flexible to find out what you can do and how you can do it.
So another thing I've noticed is that you have a group of people that come into the store. You've got a group that's your regulars, but you've also got a group of people for each game that are sort of like your alpha regulars, like the people that you can rely on to help you deal with something like giving out pairings or answering
Yeah.
questions. How do you go about finding those people or cultivating those people for these games?
Most people want to be helpful. They do. And if they see me struggling, uh, they'll volunteer. Like Kenny, for instance. Kenny plays Magic. Kenny's an older guy. He's in his 50s. Really nice guy. He's a Magic judge, or he was a Magic judge. Very knowledgeable about the game. And if I'm busy, he'll take it upon himself, and he's done this right from the beginning, to announce the pairings. You yourself, when you came in, uh, you helped me out. You helped me out with the software. Numbnuts Dustin, he's helped me out at a lot of times. Or a lot of times the guys will look at me and they'll say, "Want us to bring the tables out?"
Yeah.
And they'll bring the tables out without me even asking them. And at the end of the night, you want us to bring the tables back in. And I appreciate that. There's guys that wait for me, especially the Yu-Gi-Oh guys now. They'll wait for me on a Wednesday night outside to make sure I leave the store safely, get in my car before they leave. And I've stopped and I've thanked them profusely for helping me out. Uh, but I don't know. Maybe it's because of the way I guess it's the way I treat them, because one of them said, "Hey, you're good to us, so we're going to be good to you."
Yeah.
It's something that I don't expect, and it's gratifying to see that happening. That people will step up and help out whenever is necessary.
That's good to hear. What about pricing and product for these events? I know we've talked before. Some games give you a box or something for some of the bigger events. For like a Magic pre-release, though, Wizards isn't sending you extra product to get it going, are they?
No, they'll send us promos. Now, the distributor has sent out boxes for every uh, kit, not a kit, but a display of 15. They'll send out a box as prize support. And I talked to my sales rep one time. I said, "Is this a Wizard standard thing?" He says, "No." He said, "This is something that we do." And he said, "I make sure that you get your share," which I appreciate, because it makes me able to keep the cost down for entering the event for people that want to join. And I've seen this happen a number of times. There'll be a $45 event that's posted on for other stores. I could do it for 20 or 25. And a lot of times I'll say to the guys, "Hey, look, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it next week. However, if I give you prizes that I have to pay for, this is what you're going to pay. If you don't want the prizes, this is what you're going to pay." And it's a lesser amount. They're still going to get their initial product to begin with as their entry, but they're not going to get additional prizes other than what's uh, promo cards or anything else that I get from any of these manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of fun with the Lorcana release last time where we did a sealed event, and we kind of had that conversation with the group before that set released, was that we wanted to try to do a sealed event. Everybody kind of agreed they were going to spend the money anyway, so they would hold off and buy in, at the price range. What goes into your decision, though, like on a game by game basis with how much it's going to cost for a different event? So, like Magic sends you sealed kits, right, for pre-release, and so there's a set value to those.
They don't send me sealed kits. I buy the sealed kits.
Right.
Yeah.
But they produce a sealed kit. Lorcana doesn't do that. Star Wars doesn't do that.
They did that one time, didn't they?
They did the first set, but
Yeah,
not
they
the
did.
second
Not the
set,
second
right?
set, right? Yeah, they had a pre-release kit the first set with the special promos in it.
Yeah.
They didn't do it the second time,
No.
which I don't know. Lorcana has never done it, which
No.
I think is a big mistake.
I mean, I think pre-release is a big time for you for sales and for getting people interested in the product, even if you can't sell.
Well, again, Magic has been around for 30 plus years, and they got their act together. As much as people like to bitch about them, and I bitch about them sometimes, their pre-release kits are good. It comes with a number of packs, the 6 packs that you use for your sealed deck.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with a promo card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the promo card could be worth $2. It could be worth $42.
Yeah.
And it comes with a cardboard box that you can put your stuff in at the end of the night. And it comes with the dice. So it's an all-inclusive unit. I as a store owner don't have to worry about, well, let me sort through these promos. This is the promo you get for this. This is the promo you get for that. I just bounced it again. Uh, it's all pre-constructed, ready to go. You buy it, and that's the advantages of taking it home too.
Yeah.
Everything is there for you. Uh, yeah, I think the other games have to get uh, onto the bandwagon and do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cost to the packaging and stuff to try to do it that way instead of just shipping you boxes.
It is.
But I mean, I think it's a good way to use like resources and invest in the game.
However, there's a cost to it, but we as a store owner are paying for that convenience. It's not. I could buy a pack or a box, and the pack difference is probably 15 cents more per pack if I buy it as a pre-release kit.
Kits.
So yeah, they're charging more for it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got for the topic this week. I think it's an interesting thing to think about and just understand that there is a kind of mandated schedule. I appreciate you sharing that your vacation was changed. I think that's something that we talked about, the hidden costs a couple weeks ago of running a store. And I think that's a really like physical, real, tangible application of that is that like this schedule, you don't get to pick. You can't negotiate with Magic to change the Duskborn release because you want to go to Disney, right?
No.
So,
No. And it's getting more and more difficult in order to schedule that time. And Wizards, they put out a schedule, but there's no definitive dates that far in advance.
right.
So I have to kind of guesstimate it from previous years.
Mhm.
I'll go back on the internet and say, when did we run this pre-release? When did we run that? And it's usually the same, except this year with the foundations, they threw that in September, the end of September sometime.
Beginning of November.
Or
Duskborn's
November,
okay.
that's right, November.
Which Duskborn's an interesting one. I think it'll be divisive in terms of whether people want to play or not.
I don't think it's a Halloween based set.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not going to be a Bloomsbury.
It might be too niche. We'll see.
Yep.
Anyway, let's jump on closing out the main topic there, John. Let's talk about our 3 E's. For those of you joining us for the first time on any of the platforms, John and I like to share what we call the 3 E's, where we educate, enlighten, and entertain. Hopefully you found all of those things in the content thus far through the show, but if you haven't, this is a special opportunity for you to be educated and to get some entertainment out of things that may not necessarily be directly gaming related. John, I see you've got a stack of articles for us today. What would you like to start with?
All right. This article is out of a magazine called Gift and Decorative Accessories. And I don't know how the hell I got on their mailing list, but I get this magazine every week or every month. And it has some pretty good articles in it as far as it takes care of all the retail segment. And one of the articles, and there's several of them here over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'll be talking about the rest of them. This one, it says, the very wild card for Holiday 24. Spoiler alert, there will be a Christmas selling season this year, and it will be okay. It always has been through recessions, economic maelstroms, pandemics, and all other things the world throws at the American conspicuous consumer. But in 2024, we are likely facing the most significant unknown the economy has seen in a very long time. And it will come to a head probably on Tuesday, November 5th, which is Election Day. And what this article basically is saying is, but both the period leading up to that date and what happened afterwards will say a lot about how your business does for the holidays. The presidential election will impact how and how much Americans shop over the last 8 weeks of the year. It's going to be wild. All right. It doesn't go into politics about this, and it talks about basically there's two political parties. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. The ones that are going to lose are going to be very upset. And that's going to impact, they're going to say to themselves, hey, I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying anything. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. There's a lot of, I guess, financial and economic impact that goes into the elections. And nobody really, I guess, understands how that does it. And plus, people, gamers, for instance, if they have a limited amount to spend, they're not going to spend a lot of money at the end of the year on themselves. They're going to spend it on family. They're going to spend it on their kids. Some are selfish and they're going to spend it the way they want to spend it. But typically speaking, holiday season for me is not super, super good. I mean, it's okay, but I think this year is going to be a little bit of a economic downturn as far as what's going to happen, what's going to sell. I could be wrong. I know the Feds are coming down with the prime rate decrease within the next couple of weeks. That may impact it too. It may make it more palatable, for people to buy stuff on credit. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to affect the economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the funny things about a card shop, just in general, is that most of the time you're buying for yourself.
Right.
And I think that a lot of us don't treat ourselves like for Christmas to a thing. If anything, maybe particularly the gamers in their mid-20s and younger, they get Christmas money, things like that. And so you're looking at like if a Q1 boost where people are coming in after Christmas break and they can buy extra stuff because they got a couple $100 extra bucks from grandma or something. But like to me, like I'm not usually buying myself an extra box of cards at Christmas. So it kind of goes to your discussion about retail sales. Some kid who plays Magic's mom is way more likely to buy him a pack of Magic cards in the checkout at Walmart than she is to come buy it from you for Christmas.
That's true.
And that's why Magic, Pokemon, all of them put out a holiday product that is sold in Target and Walmart.
It's going to be interesting to see how many stores are going to be discounting products. And there's a lot of stores and businesses right now that are going out of business.
Yeah.
I'll give you, for instance, I read the other day, Badcock Furniture.
Mm-hmm.
One of my customers is general manager of the distribution center, and they're closing. Badcock sold to Conn's a couple of years ago, and Conn's declared bankruptcy, and all the Conn stores and all the Badcock Furniture stores are going out of business. Now, unfortunately, both him and his wife work there. So I think he'll be able to find a job because he's very talented at what he does. But, it's going to impact not only the retail segment, but if you look, restaurants are hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Stores are, look what's going on in the fast food industry right now. They're coming out with all these specials to try to entice people to come back into the stores because they were not losing money, but they were charging exorbitant amounts of money for fast food where people finally said, hey, I can make it at home. So, yeah, I mean, I can make it at home.
It doesn't kill me as fast.
Yeah, I mean, the economy's changing, and I think we're going to see more and more of it happening in the near future.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd be very skeptical about, number one, opening up a new business in this day and age, at least now before the election. Wait till next year, till things settle down, and whatever party's in place, let them put in their economic factors or whatever the hell they're going to do, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
I think it's foolish to try to open up a new business, to expand a new business, to add a lot of new products to the business. I don't think it's prudent.
If you were going to try to open a new business and try to take advantage of the holiday season, I don't think Game Store is the one that's going to make the biggest bang for your buck at Christmas time. From our experience in talking about it here, I think you could find something else if you're trying to take advantage of the holiday time. What else you got for us, John?
You want my Snapple facts?
Sure. Do you want to do your Snapple facts?
Oh, you got something.
Do you want me to hit you with mine?
You got something first. Go
All
ahead.
right. So here's what I got. All right. There was a story that came up on my Instagram feed about a female NASA engineer who went to work while she was in labor. Have you heard this already?
No.
Okay. So during the Apollo 13 crisis, this NASA engineer went to work while she was in labor, actively worked on fixing the problem to save the lives of the astronauts in Apollo 13, had to leave work because she needed to give birth, and went to the hospital, took her work with her to the hospital, had the baby, called her boss from the hospital, reported that she had solved the problem, that this is how you fix it so that it'll work. And oh, by the way, I had the baby.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's all amazing by itself.
Uh-huh.
The baby, Jack Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
No, it's like legit. And then I checked it before bringing it to the show today. I wanted to check and make sure it was real, so I checked, and it's legit. It's from her obituary, which was written by her other son, Jack Black's half-brother, where he talks about the fact that how important her engineering career was, her accomplishments at NASA, and he tells the story about how she took her work to the hospital when she had Jack, and that she was influential or pivotal in fixing the abort guidance system that brought home the astronauts from the Apollo 13 mission whilst giving birth to Jack in the hospital.
That's unbelievable.
And he's Jack Black.
Yeah,
independent of her, he is a famous and well-respected actor and musician. But
the American ethics, work ethics, is still there with some people. Unfortunately, it's not there with everybody, and that's a really good feel-good story that she would do something like that to ensure the problem was corrected in the safety of the astronauts.
Yeah,
they could have used her now with that thing that's going up in the
oh my gosh,
that fiasco up there.
I read an article this morning that said that they're now reporting that there are new sounds coming from the attached drone.
A drooping noise.
I think they're going to have to abort the freaking Starliner they're just going to have to push it off.
It's sad. I hope those people make it back.
I feel bad for Boeing just as a whole company.
Boeing's had too many problems.
They're on the verge of not being a company, I think.
No, they're imploding.
They're having a lot of trouble.
They're imploding.
But this was a bad decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the need for competition in lots of different industries, and I'm fine with competition in like the space industry. But like Boeing, man, they got embarrassed and then one-upped, and then they were like, okay, well, we're going to send ours up too.
Yeah, but look what happened with the other one, the SpaceX. That went down the tubes the other day. You knew about that, right?
Which one?
The SpaceX, the Elon Musk one.
What about it?
They sent up a satellite the other day, and it crashed into the ocean.
Oh, yeah. They had a launch failure the other day.
Right.
But their company is still wildly successful in the realm of launching things into space. The only thing that's put more things into space in the last 5 years than SpaceX is Russia.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah. And Russia's not close. Like SpaceX.
Where the hell is Russia getting all this money?
Well, Russia's paying SpaceX to put their stuff up there too. So are we. Anyway, for our future space podcast, what else you got, John? Did you bring Snapple facts today?
I did.
People need Snapple.
I've got 4 of them, and people like Snapple facts.
I didn't say they don't. Okay. I said that people need the Snapple facts.
All right. Do you know what a tiny pocket in the jeans is originally made for?
Your pocket watch.
You got it. Pocket watches. 2 of Snapple's founders were window washers in Brooklyn. Did you know that?
I did not.
And initially, one of the founders helped his family run a sardine and pickle store in Queens, New York. That's why some of those Snapple flavors are not so good.
They got the pickle brine on them.
I had a new guy come in the other day. He's been in here a couple of times. He's a student at UNC, comes from China. Really nice kid. And he bought the kiwi, strawberry, whatever the hell it is. And he uncapped it and he went like this, and he winched when he saw it, when he drank it. I don't think he liked it. But then he sipped it and he managed to get it down, but that's not one of the best tasting ones. So they must have came from the sardine and pickle factory or store. The King of Hearts is the only king without a mustache. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, King of Hearts. So look up the other 3 and you'll see. All right, this one, if I could pronounce the damn thing right, Arachnophobia is the fear of getting peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. How's that happen? You like that one?
Hold on, I gotta look up this word.
It is. Here. Look.
Arachnophobia, that's what I would say.
Yep, is the intense, irrational fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of one's mouth, likely related to an inability to open one's mouth or a fear of choking.
Who made that word up?
I don't know. Somebody that made up arachnophobia, the spider thing. Some
That
people
word makes
with
sense.
some people with this phobia can eat peanut butter in small amounts as an ingredient in baked goods or sweets, but many cannot eat any peanut butter. Yeah, that just floored me. I never heard that word before. But since we're trying to educate and inform our public here, I thought I'd throw that out today.
I'm looking up the etymology of this. There we go. Wow. So, etymology lesson. Do I need to define etymology?
No, go ahead. You can go.
Okay. Apparently, the word comes from the Latin for arachis, which means peanut, and butiro, which means butter, and phobia, which is, of course, fear. And if you combine them together, you get arachibutyrophobia.
Oh, so that has okay. That makes sense.
It does.
It sounds
It's defined as a humorous rare noun, according to the dictionary.
a humorous.
A humorous. I don't know that it's funny if somebody's afraid
somebody's
of
choking on peanut butter.
But I guess you can sit and giggle at them if you want to.
I have a lot of jokes, but I'm not going to make them.
No,
not
right.
Clean ones at least.
Yeah, those are
I can't do that.
Patreon specials.
Can't do that one.
Good job, John. Way to have self-restraint.
Did you see that? And I didn't even curse this episode.
You did once.
I did?
Yeah.
Bad word?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's profanity, but...
What's profanity? What defines profanity?
You tell me. Topics for the future.
All right, the F
Next
word.
time in 3 E's, we will go over the definition and history of profanity. All right, before we close out today, I wanted to give a couple closing thoughts and updates on our numbers and content. On Spotify, we've gone live with episodes up to episode 21. I feel like 22 is live now, but when I typed this, it was 21. Anyway, we have 54 followers and over 700 unique plays.
On Spotify?
Yeah. So, thanks, guys. Listen more. Tell your friends to listen more. Remember, it works if you just open the tab and mute the tab. It still counts. Helps us. On YouTube, because of various editing difficulties and trying to organize the playlist so that it plays properly, we are currently live through episode 12. Episode 13 is going up tomorrow. They're scheduled releases for the next several weeks on Tuesday and Thursday to try to catch us up. And then hopefully we can sync the releases all together so that everything's the same. But starting with episode 13 tomorrow, our ugly mugs will be up on the video.
Ooh.
So if you're excited to see
with your big head here,
or you don't know,
there you go. That's because,
it's
because you sit on top of the damn computer. That's why your head looks so big.
It's a manual zoom, John. It's manual zoom. I can't see the screen. All right. We have 42 subscribers, though. So 12 of you that are listening on Spotify that haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, go hook us up with a follow or a subscription or whatever it's called over on YouTube.
So we need 958 more in order to get to that 1,000 in order to hope to be monetized.
Yeah.
Talk to 900. Talk to your uncles and your aunts and have everybody subscribe to us.
Well, on that note, though, I do have an assignment for this week's call to action. If you are listening to this podcast and you would go to our YouTube video and you would comment something in the video that you think is worthy of a 10 to 30 second clip for us to use on YouTube Shorts, which parts of the videos, which topics that we've talked about. Maybe it's just your favorite Snapple fact from John, but if you could go to the YouTube video and tell us which one you think we should use as a clip for YouTube Shorts or social media clips on Instagram and those things, that would be great and helpful, because sometimes it's hard to look at it and think that 20 seconds was the best we did.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap it up this week, John, did you have any other closing thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I'm good for this week, Noah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this week on Card Shop Insiders. We are so grateful for your support and listening. If you like the show, please like, subscribe, and follow us on all the different platforms. The podcast is now found on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. You can also follow us on social media at Card Shop Insiders, Instagram, and at Card Shop Insiders on Instagram and X. We acknowledge our Patreon patrons. We have Ben, Grant, Brandon, Logan, Drayden, and Jake as our paid patrons, and we appreciate your support of our efforts and of the show. If you would like to interact with the show or have questions you'd like to see covered in future episodes, please head over to YouTube and use our latest video to share a comment on that episode and tell us what you'd like to hear more about. And finally, if you are willing, able, and interested to contribute to the show financially, in that case, you can join up on Patreon, where our basic tier subscription includes behind-the-scenes videos, and we'll also start including some of our show notes and hopefully stickers, which I've worked on and look cool. That's all I got. So we'll see you next week for Behind the Counter. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you listening.